Twilight bled into the woods. A cold wind stirred the trees, whispering secrets best left unheard. The forest floor, a tapestry of decaying leaves, crunched underfoot. Each step forward felt like a descent into a forgotten nightmare. The scent of damp earth and decaying wood hung heavy, a grim welcome to the clearing ahead. The cabin stood silhouetted against the dying light, a crooked silhouette against the bruised sky. Its windows, dark and vacant, seemed to watch the approaching figure. They were like the eyes of a predator, patiently observing, waiting for the opportune moment to strike. The air grew colder as if an unseen presence exhaled a breath of ice. A shiver ran down the protagonist's spine, a primal instinct warning of danger. He paused at the edge of the clearing, hesitant to step into the domain of the unknown. But curiosity, like a siren's call, beckoned him closer. The path leading to the cabin was treacherous, littered with fallen branches and concealed by gnarled roots. The forest seemed to conspire against intrusion, guarding its secrets jealously. As the protagonist ventured deeper, he felt a palpable shift in the atmosphere. The once familiar woods now felt alien and menacing. The rustling of leaves sounded unnaturally loud, like whispered warnings carried on the wind. Shadows danced at the edge of his vision, taking on grotesque and threatening shapes. The forest itself seemed to be holding its breath, watching, waiting. The closer he got to the cabin, the more oppressive the atmosphere became. It felt as though the air itself had grown thick with dread, making each breath a struggle. His heart pounded in his chest, a frantic rhythm against the eerie silence of the woods. He was surrounded by an unseen audience, their presence felt, but not seen. Legends clung to the cabin like cobwebs, whispers of a family driven to madness within its walls, their torment echoing through the years. Some spoke of a vengeful spirit trapped and seeking solace or perhaps revenge. Others whispered of a darkness that seeped into the very foundations of the cabin, corrupting everything it touched. These tales were woven into the fabric of the town, passed down through generations like sacred texts. They were cautionary tales, meant to keep the curious and the foolish at bay. The locals knew better than to approach the cabin, let alone step foot inside. They understood the unspoken truth that some places are best left undisturbed. Their silence spoke volumes, a testament to the fear that the cabin inspired. The protagonist had heard these stories, dismissed them as folklore and superstition. But standing here now, on the precipice of the unknown, he felt a shiver of doubt course through him. Perhaps there was more to these tales than met the eye. The cabin loomed before him, its presence imposing and unnerving. The once bright paint was now faded and peeling, revealing the rotted wood beneath. The windows, like empty sockets, stared back at him, reflecting nothing but the encroaching darkness. The door, hanging precariously from its hinges, creaked ominously in the wind, like a mouth opening in a silent scream. He reached out a hesitant hand, his fingers brushing against the rough surface of the door. A jolt of energy, unseen but palpable, shot up his arm. He drew back his hand as if burned, his heart pounding in his chest. The air around him crackled with an unseen energy, a tangible manifestation of the fear that gripped him. He hesitated for a moment, his rational mind screaming at him to turn back. But the lure of the unknown, the desire to see what secrets lay hidden within, was too strong to resist. With a deep breath, he pushed open the door. The interior of the cabin was shrouded in darkness and choked with dust. The air was thick with the smell of decay, and the silence was deafening. Shafts of dying sunlight pierced through cracks in the boarded-up windows, illuminating motes of dust dancing in the stagnant air. Time seemed to stand still within those walls, as if the cabin existed outside the normal flow of time. He stepped inside, his footsteps echoing in the oppressive silence. The floorboards groaned under his weight, threatening to give way beneath his feet. He shone his torch around the room, his heart sinking with each passing moment. The remnants of a life abandoned greeted him, overturned furniture, scattered belongings, and cobwebs thick with dust. It was a scene frozen in time, a snapshot of a forgotten tragedy. The air was heavy with a palpable sense of despair, as if the very walls were saturated with sorrow. He could almost hear the echoes of the past, the whispers of fear and anguish that clung to every surface. It was a place where hope had died and darkness had taken root. He moved cautiously through the cabin, his footsteps echoing in the unsettling silence. Each room he entered painted a picture of the lives once lived within those walls, now reduced to ghostly remnants. A child's doll lay discarded in a corner, its painted eyes staring vacantly into the gloom. A rocking chair creaked back and forth as if propelled by an unseen hand. The remnants of a family portrait lay shattered on the floor, their faces scratched out as if to erase their very existence. He picked up a tattered book, its pages brittle with age. The words were written in a language he didn't recognize, but the fear and desperation in the scrawled handwriting were unmistakable. He could almost feel the presence of the author, their terror bleeding through the years and staining the pages. As he delved deeper into the cabin, he felt an overwhelming sense of unease settle over him. It was as if he were being watched, scrutinized by unseen eyes. The shadows seemed to deepen around him, twisting and contorting into menacing shapes. He reached the heart of the cabin, a small room at the end of a darkened hallway. The air here felt different, charged with an unseen energy that made his skin crawl. A single window cast a sliver of moonlight into the room, illuminating a wooden table in the center, and on that table lay a journal. He reached for it, drawn by an invisible force. The cover was cold to the touch, as if imbued with the chill of the grave. He opened it carefully, his heart pounding in his chest. The pages were filled with frantic scribblings, the ramblings of a mind on the edge of madness. Words spoke of shadows moving in the darkness, of voices whispering from the walls, of an evil that permeated every inch of the cabin. He read on, captivated and horrified by what he read. The author spoke of being haunted by something ancient and malevolent, something that drove him to the brink of sanity. He described rituals and sacrifices, attempts to appease a darkness that could not be sated. Each entry was more disturbing than the last, a descent into a nightmare from which there seemed to be no escape. He closed the journal, his mind reeling from what he had read. The darkness around him seemed to press in, suffocating him with its oppressive weight. He knew then that he had to leave, to escape the clutches of this cursed place before it consumed him too. As he turned to go, his eyes fell on something he hadn't noticed before. Scratched into the wall behind the table was a symbol. It was intricate and disturbing, drawn in what appeared to be dried blood. He recognized it from the journal, a symbol of the ancient evil that haunted this place, and beneath it, scrawled in the same frantic hand, was a single chilling message: "It remembers." He didn't hesitate. He turned and fled, his heart pounding in his ears. He didn't look back, but he could feel the presence of the cabin watching him, its darkness reaching out like grasping claws. He knew then that he would never be free of this place, that the terror he had experienced would haunt him forever. The cabin held on to its secrets, but it had also shared a glimpse of its darkness with him, and that glimpse was enough to last a lifetime.